Seems a lot of people really hate this film. Now I do have to admit this has a bit of a Bridge of Spies syndrome. You know, where Bridge of Spies is a Steven Spielberg film. It's not one of his better films, but it's still a really good film because it's made by Steven Spielberg. Hail Caesar really isn't one of the really great Coen Brothers movies, but it's still a really fun movie. It's just a lot of people feel that it's a lot worse and probably one of the worst movies they've ever made. So, Hail Caesar is the newest movie from the Coen Brothers. Now this is a movie that's still getting praised by critics, but for the majority of the audience, they're really hating this film. Or at least they seem to be hating it. It's got a really low percentage and a really low average on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, for the audience for average, it's at a 2.9 out of 5. Now granted, more people still probably have to see it and don't plan to see it for a while, but do you know what movies have a better average score on Rotten Tomatoes than Hail Caesar? The Fifth Wave, 400 Days, Ride Along 2, Dirty Grandpa, all have better average scores than Hail Caesar. At least Hail Caesar's still beating Norm of the North and 50 Shades of Black. Now granted, the trailer is a little deceiving. What Hail Caesar is mainly about is Josh Brolin's character. Josh Brolin plays Eddie Mannix, who runs this studio, and he fixes the problems. Yeah, if something goes wrong with the actors, something that they have to cover up, something happens, he's the one to fix it. And so mainly it's about his life and all the crazy stuff he has to do on a day-to-day basis with some of these crazy actor problems. And so George Clooney's character getting kidnapped, that's just one of the plot problems. It's the major problem, I would say, but it's just one of the side stories and one of the stories of him fixing things that all happen at once. Other than to try to find George Clooney's character who's been kidnapped so that they can finish this big studio movie, he also has to fix this one actor's image who the studio wants to have a different image for him because he's this cowboy star. They want him to star in bigger roles, more refined roles, and so he has to deal with a movie that Ralph Fiennes is directing in it. Well, Ralph Fiennes' character. He also has to deal with Scarlett Johansson's character, who has a squeaky clean image, but she's pregnant and no husband, and so they have to deal with the soon-to-come baby. And there's a few other things he has to deal with, mainly the choice of either moving to this different company that's giving him a lot of job offers, or sticking with this chaotic studio job that he has. Mainly that's the movie in a nutshell, and I honestly really enjoyed the movie. Yes, it is chaotic at times. There does feel like there's too many things going on at once, but honestly that makes sense for the movie it is, because it's a movie about this guy dealing with all this stress, dealing with all these other people's problems in the studio, and having to juggle everything that he has on his plate. Honestly, I didn't mind the chaos. I thought it was funny, and it felt true to the story that it's trying to tell. There's a lot of big stars in this movie, but some of them are only in it for 1 or 2 scenes. So that might be a bummer when you see all these major stars in the film and realize that they might only be in it for a little bit of, or a few scenes. I will say this, without giving too much away, I love the direction they went with Channing Tatum's character. That was freaking awesome and just so freaking funny. I feel there was a lot of love and effort put into this film. It felt like they really love the 1950s style of movies, and they make a really great recreation of it as they show some of these movies that are being made in the studio in this film. And usually when a movie has a movie within it, it feels like something people wouldn't watch and doesn't feel like something that would actually fit as something popular. Like, for instance, Annie. The remake of Annie had that terrible, like, Twilight sort of parody movie that was just plain awful and didn't feel like it made sense that people would actually go see it. In this film, it felt true to the 1950s style of movie making, and every movie that they showed little clips of within the movie felt like it was an actual movie. It didn't feel like something that would never exist, like some other movies do. Now, with all these big stars, there's a lot of really great performances throughout the film, even though they might not be in it all that much. Now, I might sound like a broken record because a lot of people in their reviews have said this as well, but I have to say it as well. The standout performance, honestly, isn't the main character, and it isn't George Clooney either. It's by, and I'm not going to pronounce this name right. I know his first name's Alden, but I'm not going to pronounce that last name. Yeah, he plays this actor who plays this cowboy. In Hail Caesar, he's been making a lot of cowboy movies because he's a cowboy at heart. But the studio wants a different image for him, and so they put him in this more refined, classic sort of 50s movie, where it's more of an art film and it's more of a high society type film. And it's really, the scene where he gets on set for the first time, one of the funniest scenes in the entire movie, to be honest. And yes, it goes on a little too long maybe for some, but I couldn't stop laughing throughout.
Oh, Monty! Come, join me on the divan. Seems Allegra's a no-show, which is simply a bore. But I'll partner you in bridge.
Ha! Would that it were so simple.
Cut. 27 Apple, take 2.
Just say it as I say it. Say your line exactly as I'm about to.
Okay, sure.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were...
Wait, watch my mouth. Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so
Would that it
simple.
were so simple.
Would that it were so
My
simple.
dear boy, why do you say that? Why do you say twere?
Well, you said say it like I said it.
Yes, but...
Would that it were so
No,
simple.
you seem to be lingering. It's interminable, the were. I'm wondering when it'll end. Then we shouldn't be wondering, should we? We should be marching right along to so simple. Would that it were so simple. Trippingly.
Would that it were so simple. Trippingly.
No, don't say trippingly. Say the line trippingly.
Especially when you finally see the clip of what they finally used for that scene, and it's just perfect. Now bear with me, this is going to sound really confusing because pay no mind to the actual actor because I don't know what he's really like. But the actor this actor plays is playing himself when he's in these cowboy roles. And so when they try to make him a different image, it's totally different from what he really is. And so there was some really funny moments with it, and I actually felt for the character, and he was probably one of the best parts of the movie. Now there is an arc with the main character, and it's him deciding whether he should go with this other job offer or stay with the studio and keep living this chaotic and hectic life. So yeah, there is a character arc with him, but I can understand why some people might not think it because it's a very small part in the movie, despite it actually being probably the thing you should actually focus on the most, even though it's not really mentioned all that much throughout the film. Now, ultimately, it focuses on his chaotic life at the studio and all the things he has to fix to give us a better understanding of what it's like for him, but then it ultimately makes his decision a lot stronger when we realize what he decides to do in the end of the film. This is also a movie that is a lot of crazy, hectic stuff and really funny stuff, but its main substance is its themes throughout, and if you don't pick out its themes and you don't notice its themes, then it's going to feel like there's nothing to the story whatsoever for you. Yeah, this is one of those movies where its major substance is its themes, its chaotic, fun tone to the film, as well as its style. So if you go into the movie thinking it's a plot-driven film, then you're probably going to be very disappointed with it. And so I can understand why some people really hate this film. But for me, I think Hail Caesar is 4 stars. Did you see Hail Caesar? What did you think about it? Go ahead and comment. And if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe and check out my other movie reviews. I've got 2015 and 2016 playlists. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.